Hi, I wrote a blog post about B API and UI development contribution by adding a TypeScript tool. So what is that? And what that is that there is an B project driven by IBM Research for agentic workflows. And one of the hearts, or the heart itself, is the B agent framework for building agents, scalable agents. And that is what we're going to use inside the B API and the UI and integrate that in the stack and see how maybe you can contribute to that and how to set up and do that specific with a TypeScript tool I built.
Computer startup.
The agenda for that video is that we take a look at the prerequisites. You need to understand a bit what the example is, what we are going to add, what the tool is. And then we add that tool to the B API. Then we're going to add it to the UI. And then we will use it in the UI. So to understand what the tool does, I also did already a recording of the UI, so we can see what at the end, what will happen at the end. At the end, we will have an agent configured. It's also called as an assistant here in the UI. That's the B UI. You can configure your own agent, and you can define which tools can be associated to that. I associated only 2 tools to have the specific option only to use a travel agent, and the open metro that is about using the weather information, open source weather information. That is what we're doing. And the travel agent tool I built is an agent, a tool agent, not an agent in that context, which asks a large language model providing good vacation suggestions for locations. And I do not ask systems which do have information about vacations. I do that with a large language model, and that is inside that example. So for that, I use Watson X. In Watson X is my model running, and what I use here, I use the prompt lab for the prompt engineering to get to that point, and that is the resulting prompt for that, and that is what is inside the tool and gets the vacation information. So what you can see, I say you are a travel agent and you provide best suggestions for vacation trips. And the normal thing, the JSON contains following information. And what I say, I reduce the return values to 2 entries. And I say, okay, give me the rank number, the city, the country, the reason to travel, the main interest covered. And now answer the following question. And I insert the question as a variable. Here is the variable, and say what is the best vacation city in Europe. So if you want to get into how Watson X in that context work, you can go to one of my videos or other videos for sure. I will put a link in here, and also for sure in the description where you can find how to do that. And with that, I can show you what it generates. And what I also want to add as your information, I specified that it should be, when we interact with the model, it should be the best result, best possibilities, no repetition penalty. And the model talks more than I was expecting. And I say, okay, you stop after you have finished the array. So that is what here the stop criteria is. And I use the Granite 13b. There's a warning that is going to be outdated in February next year. So I have to change that in the future, but at the moment it still works and I just use it. So here, let us take a look here how that works. I say here generate, and then you can see, yeah, it does it. And by the way, I use my private account, and if you want to reproduce everything, you can also create your own Watson X instance with all of that. And there is a free tier for tokens you can generate. And if you only use it for that example, I think there will be no problem just to do that. Okay, with that in mind, we go forward. That is the example. Yeah, what is the result here? And now we take a look back to the GIF, and you can see that when I ask a question now in the combination that what is the best city to visit Europe and what is the current temperature in this city, then you see it combines the two tools into the reasoning and all that stuff. And you can very clearly observe what the return results are inside that UI. And that is what we will see at the end. Yeah, so that is the result. And to achieve that result, we need to go to several steps. And by the way, I want to highlight that the instructions, how to do that. I also took a look what Heinz Busch did. And we did also some work together to finalize some return value information. So, and that was the resulting blog post for that. And I want to highlight when we go through all that stuff, we will only use macOS and Podman. That is what I use, and that is what I have verified. It should also work for other systems, but that is what I did. Okay, now go to the prerequisites. You can see there are the other topics and more details. So in that blog post, you can also read along to that and not watch the video, just reading it and doing that. So, and now when we want to do all the work with the API now and with the UI, yeah, we need to prepare it. And for that, I also create a blog post with some kind of extraction of information. So how to work with that. And the important thing is to understand when we do all that stuff, we need to understand a bit the B stack, the broader B stack, not only the framework, yeah, the B framework for the agent framework, also the B stack in that context and where does it fit in. So when we take a look here, that's a nice diagram here about the B stack. We have databases for different objectives inside the B stack, saving information so that we can reproduce stuff and so on. And also I want to highlight here what I really like, the externalization of all the information, what we're seeing about the reasoning and all the steps, what the agent does. Yeah, so that is also saved in MLflow with an observe possibility. And you can see that's the UI what we used. Then we have an API. There's also an SDK which is currently under development, and the B code interpreter. Everything at the moment is not final. It's still in progress. So that means if you watch that video later, maybe then yeah, you have to change some topics, and it will not work in that way as you see it now. Yeah, so it depends on when you watch that video. Okay, with all of that, it is quite yeah, it's not quite, it is easy, yeah, for the setup. I like that. It is just running it on your local machine, for example, with Podman. And as I said, I use Podman, so we are here now. Yeah, the prerequisites. That is what I showed you already. I use Podman. I already downloaded the images, well, because that takes a while. Yeah, 5 minutes. Depends on what your internet connection is. And then I will start the compose. It will create, I deleted all the volumes here with the information which are with the database where the database stores the information. And the compose will start up the containers and put everything here together. So let's start to take a look here in what we are going to do. For that, because as a preparation for doing all that stuff, and with keep in mind, if you want to work with the UI and the API, you need also to download the repositories, and that is what I already did. I downloaded the API and the BStack and the UI here on my local machine, which is here, and that is all what I have described in my blog post. So when we start with that, we can create the new infrastructure environment. It depends on what you are doing and how you set up the environment. It's not directly needed that you're going to use that environment information, really configure the model, because that is not the objective, because you will develop your own API later and so on. So, and maybe you can also here directly start not all components from the stack in the first point, and then you can just say, I want to start only the infrastructure. But in some cases, I figured out it makes sense to go a little bit in opposite direction, because the reason is that the databases need to be initialized. To do that, it is easier just to run the entire stack and everything is set up, and then just stop it and start only the infrastructure. So with that in mind, we will follow this procedure. So here, let me start with that. We are in the BStack. And when I copy it, because I did that, and you could start from the root directly, so I do not start from root. I start always directly inside the terminal. So now everything is going to start. You can see the volumes are created and the container are created. And when everything is up, so let's see here, when everything is up, so we are ready here to go. So here, and now we can open up the front end, and now we can see the front end part of the configuration, how that works. We can also go to the live chat, and now we can insert some tasks or not questions and so interact with the configured model we did. So that is what you should do when you do that way. Then you should to configure everything to the model you are going to use. And all my examples with what's next AI, then you wish for sure you should configure what's next AI that it works. So everything now should be set up to the needs what we have. So that is what we now can close or just leave it as it is. And here we will just stop it. So we can just say here, say stop. So, and now, the compose will be stopped. And when everything is stopped, then we start it in, as I said, in the infrastructure. And what I want to highlight here when we started with the infrastructure, we can add an additional point, because that is what we later will use. Out of the box, it is not configured. We can also add to the profiles when the bash script identifies the profiles when it starts up, the different configurations for the compose. So then we can add infrastructure to the observe. So that is what I said, the observe, so that we later can also inspect in MLflow what you have done, because I like that. I like that really transparent information inside what's in the B framework, so that you really can see all the reasoning, all the details, and what happens inside your agent. Yeah, so, and I want also to show you that in addition. Okay, so that is what we going to do. We're going to do using here the B start info. So yeah, I know it's faster if I write it, but I like copy and paste. Okay, so here I started, and yeah, before I do that, I forgot, I can also show it here. Compare selected, and you can see here that is my backup. Yeah, just to show, okay, in the backup shows that here the infra is not a part of. Yeah, and that is what I added manually for the observe. Oh, now we can start. So, and now the containers we need are started. And now we can move on with the next step. Computer startup. We have already some insights about the project, or not the project, about the agent, but I open up, no, not the agent. Yeah, I know. Travel agent because of a travel agent, but it is a tool. Yeah, it's not the best name I've chosen here, but yeah, I still use it because I think that's the normal way. Sometimes it is a little bit confusing, the word of naming, and I use it also. So the name here, you can see here, I also created a more detailed blog post about the entire setup. And also that is also about the framework, yeah, or using it inside the framework. But that is here about the implementation itself. And you can see here the travel tool does use the Granite. And we want now from here, I have shown you how that at the end works. Now we're going later to copy the travel agent tool here inside the B API. And that is what we are going to do. And then we need to understand a bit about the configuration, because you know that the travel agent itself uses Watson-X for its large language model. And with that, we need also to understand how to access that. And inside the tool, configured to use Watson-X LLM, yeah, to instantiate a model. And with the information of the variables of the project ID, base URL for Watson-X and API. And with that, you need to understand how that access to the Watson-X works. And here, yeah, I can use that diagram. Yeah, so I put that also in PowerPoint. So we have the travel agent. Now understand here. So the agent itself, the B API, yeah, uses also an agent, out of the box agent, and that agent is also configured to use a model, yeah, because how to do all that reasoning and so on. And that here is, as I have I will configure it, and I have configured it, that the B API access project Yeah, you see here, that's the project ID in WhatsonX. And with that information, which project it has the access to the WhatsonX model, the inference. And what we see here, all the WhatsonX that it runs uses IBM services in the IBM cloud. I use for sure the IBM cloud. I have not on-premise installation for all of that. And here you need to know where is the region, which account it is, and when you use an account and the authentication for a service uses identity and access management, and then that means you need an auth token later on. And with that, we need here an API key, which has also, which includes the rights that we can really access that service. And we can, or we are valid to generate an access token. So with all of the security stuff. And that is what we need here for the configuration inside the B API, basically. Now, the tool has its own computer startup. And with that, we need to ensure that we can access an own IBM Cloud account, for example, own project, and that is why we need to configure that differently. And the easy way to do that is that we add to the API definition later the variables, the environment variables to the environment file, and that will be loaded and used inside the B API. And so we can access the different models, and we have that separated. So in case if that is different, otherwise it's just the same and we insert the same values. So that is what you need to understand about copying and changing, and that is the reason why we need to change inside the tool that part of the code, and I want to make that transparent. So here, let's see, when we go to the GitHub, so I don't change or don't commit the changes I did to my fork of the project, and so it's easy just to show you what are the changes I made. So here we have the travel agent, and here is the entire file is new. And as you can see here, I changed that, and when we go back, maybe we can also say we can mark that, and we go to the platform demos. That is the project where the file is saved. You can also instantiate, so it's a part of a project which is called WhatsonX AI platform demos. You can following, and here is also, and now we can just compare the two selected, and now we can see here the difference. Yeah, that is the difference here, what we have. Yeah, that is done already. Yeah, what is written inside the blog post, and with that in mind, yeah, so we can then go on to the next part. Computer startup. That means we configure several files inside the API. So an helper file, which is on the same level with as the travel agent, and the tools and everything. At the end, it is as part of the system, and for sure in the future that will be different to add tools on a TypeScript level differently. That is how it works currently, and do it directly on system level, inserting your own tools. So that is not how it will be maybe in the future, but that is at the current level, as you maybe can contribute with basic tools if you want, or other topics. And that is it at the moment, how it works. So let's move on with the changes. Let us take a look here. What are the changes in the helpers? And also can verify that in the blog post. So for sure, we need first to import that to that helpers file, yeah, because we will change the helper file. Inside the helper file, we will change the listing the tools, creating the tools, and finalize a tool call if a tool is called, and that are the functions which are used in that context. So, and I will show you that now with the difference inside the code. So we can see here that were the changes we made. And I also did a small change here because I tried something out, but that is not really relevant. It's not necessary. I can delete that. So in here is inside the get tools. Yeah, we will just insert the information how to get a tool. Yeah, if it is found. So, and it is used. Yeah, so then that is what the function get tools is. And then here, when it is inserted, or when an instance is created, then we can identify here in an else if statement that now we will create an instance of the agent, of the new agent. And the next is here, if it is called, yeah, how to call it. And that is a little bit interesting, because here, when the system is called, it does also a double check here. Does it contain the right return values? And the basic return value is the tool output. And that is a good basic comparison for doing the validation of the return value of the output of the tool. And as you can see, also the other tools are also implemented to verify. And here we have some more specific configurations for the tools, because you can see here there is more chain. And here in our case, when we take a look, yeah, it is just a plain result and it works with that. Okay, that is here what we have for the helpers. And then we go to the tools services. And with that, with the tools services, for sure we also need to import it. And then we need to provide which system tools are available. So we also insert that, and we add that agent as an additional, not agent, I always say the agent, the travel agent, the tool here to the system settings. So, and we give also the name when it was created. Some information about the content, some information about what it does. And the next is here, computer startup. Yeah, and here we have the information what all tools are available, and that is the listing, so that we get the tools. So, and for sure, we need also to provide the information here which system tools are available, and that is the mapping what we have here. And with all of that, the API is ready to go, and we can start the API now. So for that, we go back to the, here is everything with the import statement, what we have seen here. And now we can start it in the development mode. And what I also want to highlight here for sure, that is the environment file, you can see. And where are the environment variables with the different model configuration? That is with the tool. Yeah, one is for the tool and one is for the agent inside the API for the reasoning and all that stuff which utilize the tools. That's here. Okay, now that is up. Let's see if the server is here available. Now it is on the 400. So it's listing on the 400. You can here say localhost. And for sure we need to define the docs. Oh, docs. And make it a little bit bigger. So it's here. Yeah, and now we have here the open API, and now we can authenticate to the authorization. And the good thing is to do that, when we have everything downloaded, we can directly go to the BUI. That is later on. You have the B API, and then in the B API, inside the basic environment file, there is also an authentication token we can use for authenticate to the authorization here. And with that, we can say we can get the tools. And let's see if the tool is already listed. So let us see if we try that out. So and then now we list that, and we can take a look here. Yeah, here is our travel agent tool. So that is working. And now we are finished with the API. And the next step is go to the UI.
Computer startup.
So when we now add that to the UI, we have to change major two files to use the tool info and define the schemas. And that is what we will do in the next step. So here, now we go, no, that is in the BUI. I already did that. And inside the BUI, here, that is the basic specification. Yeah, you find. And what you should also create, and that is what is here. I wrote that inside the blog post. When we go to all that stuff, when we start it later on, I guess I did it. Well, I haven't done it. You should also create here that that SSL secret. So, oh, I forgot that. I need to add that. Okay, so now we move on with the changes to do there in the schema, and that is what you're now doing. There are 55 entries for that. So you can find that. 55, and then replace that with the value which is here, and that is what I already did. And then we move on with the next settings. Here we need to change the tool code, and yeah, that is about the icon what we will see later. Yeah, the name, the name and the associated icon. And let me see, is there something in addition? That was all. And with that, we are now in the condition to start the BUI.
Computer startup.
I will start the BUI. So the UI is still in the condition to open up the UI because we worked before. So in the UI, so the browser is still open with that. Yeah, so here, let's going back here, and then we will see what happens in. Now we can see it's compiling projects, project ID, get project ID, aufsession, compiled, and see what happens inside the API. Is there anything strange happen? Authenticated, it is authenticated, it works, yeah. It seems so, the dummy token, user, okay. Yeah, I haven't created any B at the moment. So, and now I can create a B.
Computer startup.
So that is what at the moment is. And now we can start with that and following the next steps. So now we are in the UI, in the default project, and I just follow now the steps inside the definition here. That is what I do now. We give it a name like that is with the travel assistant. Just order it a little bit differently so that's easier for copy and paste. So the UI, that is our name, and then the next is that with the description. It's our description, and now we will delete all the existing tools which are currently potentially associated to an out-of-the-box assistant or agent, yeah, call it here, and we delete that. And now we select here the travel agent, the method, and we add the tool selected, and we save it. So now we are ready to go. So that is done. We have that done in the UI. We have seen, okay, what happened here. And now you ask the question, yeah? We will ask the question with the information. So here, just the same what I did here at the beginning. That is our question. And we, for sure, also we can change it. It also works for other regions, but that is for the verification. Open up. So, and now we can inspect how everything works, and we take a look at that. Now start. Now it's thinking. Wow, the dude wants to know the city, visit Europe, yeah. And now we can allow to access the travel agent, and it uses the travel agent. So let's see what happens in here. So inside the tool, I also created some logs, and we will also see here the logs in more detail here, what the tool does. So I allow it once, So here, so see what happens. Now we can see here, that is the, and we get the results. So the user wants to know, so now the travel agent now has provided that information. And now it says the reasoning about the temperature. And now we allow that. And now we can see here, the best city to visit Europe is Rome, Italy. The current temperature in Rome is, 9.3 Celsius. Everything is working. And now I want also to show you what I start with the observation. We did an observation here, what happens, but in more detail, now we can go to MLflow and open up MLflow for inspect in detail how that works. And what I can show you here in more detail. So in MLflow, that is the blog post I wrote about the starting point. And here I have also the MLflow, the port, so it was 8080. So let's just open up localhost 8080, and then we have the MLflow. And that is not a part of the blog post. That's additional here in the video. So now we are in MLflow, and we can go to the traces, and you see here is the trace. And we see 2 minutes ago, we see the request and we see the response. We see the duration, and now we go in detail and we see everything going down. What was the various updates and seeing everything, what was created and what was invoked and calls and so on. Yeah, I like that very much. So it creates a huge transparency when you work with agents. And if you want to examine what happened in detail.
Computer stop.
Yeah. And with that, we are done. Everything is working at the current stage for that version. And if you maybe watch that video in the future somewhere, maybe some parts were changed. And I hope that was useful for you. And I say thanks for watching. And if you like that very long video, then like and subscribe, and maybe give me feedback if you have an interest in special topics. If I have time and it fits to my objectives, then I may create a video on that. And I say thank you again for watching, and say bye.